Yo, what's good, people? Welcome to the channel where we talk about music licensing, music production, and music business. If you love any of the previously mentioned, be sure to subscribe so you can stay up to date on all my latest content. Shout out to everybody that's in the stream, man. Let me know where you guys are from. Let me know what you do. I want to see who's in the building. And yeah, it's Wednesday. I'm doing a live Q&A, so I'm just here answering questions as usual. Excited to help you guys out. So that's what's going on today. Man, so I came across something interesting today. I was reading about the law of large numbers. So you have like the law of averages, and then you have the law of large numbers, right? And it made me think about licensing, because it's a licensing game at the end of the day, right? So pretty much the higher the number, the more chances you take at something, or the more times you do something, the closer you get to the result that you want to get out of it, or the reaction that you want to get from that action that you're taking. And it made me think about licensing, because a lot of producers, a lot of artists, songwriters, they give up too early in music licensing. Off Key Productions, I see you. What's good, bro? World Meta Beats, what's good? Ken Yale, what's good, bro? Good to see you in the stream. So it made me think about licensing, because a lot of people, they give up too early, right, in the licensing game. Like, they'll submit to 5 to 10 licensing companies, and then they wait. And while they're waiting, like nothing is happening that you can see on the surface, right? But what happens, like, if instead of just submitting to 5 to 10 companies, you submit it to 5 to 10 companies like every day or every week, or just something to consistently increase the number of times you take that action, the number of times you reach out to a new company? Like, the probability of you actually getting a licensing deal from a company is going to be higher the more you take those actions of reaching out to more companies. So pretty much I said that to say, if you're on that journey of trying to get your music placed in TV and film, and you're submitting, you're just not seeing any traction yet, just keep submitting. Like, just don't stop. Literally, like, that's what I had to do. Like, I was reaching out to like 3 to 5 companies every single day until I seen the result that I wanted to see. And if I wouldn't have done that, I wouldn't be here, honestly, on this live answering questions and helping you guys get unstuck and get you closer to your first TV film placement, or whatever else you're trying to accomplish. Man, this can be applied to anything across the board. So you have to put those numbers up, and you have to get those reps in until you see the results that you want. You just can't quit. And a lot of people, man, they quit too early. The music is there, the quality is there, the structure can be there, but just because they quit too soon, they limited the opportunities to get those licensing deals, and limited the opportunities to ultimately get the placements and to start generating royalties from their music. So yeah, like, just don't stop. It's rough at first, but once you get past that, man, getting that first placement is probably the hardest thing. But once you get past that, things get like a lot easier. Shout out to Alvin Alexander, New York City, songwriter, producer. That's what's up. Nice, man. So let me know, man. Let me know what questions you have. For the new people coming in, welcome to the stream. It's a live Q&A. I'm answering questions about music licensing, music business, and music production. Drop them in the chat. Smash the like button. And yeah, I'm here for the next hour, man, to help you guys out. But man, I'm telling you, man, that first placement, it gives you the momentum you need to keep going, really. And it's tough at first, because there is no momentum. Like, you don't know if it's working. You don't know if the stuff is getting placed. But then once you see that first placement, you just get super excited, and it lights a fire under you, and it makes you, it makes you go harder and keep going, because now you have proof of concept. It's possible. You did it once. Now you just got to replicate the process. But yeah, I think you just got to keep pushing through. I had a thought, and it literally just left my mind about, I guess, the process of not knowing if things are getting placed. Oh yeah, because what happens is, like, a lot of people, like, they won't see that result, right? But then if they stop and then you actually find out you got something placed on TV and then you stopped like for the past 6 months to a year, now like you're starting over. Now you're probably going to have to wait even longer to that next placement, and you kind of lose momentum. So just keep going. Shimmer Island, what's good? What sort of company should we reach out to? 3 to 5 days. Is there a good resource to evaluate those businesses and deal structures, genre type? No, there's no resource to really, evaluate the business itself, other than looking at their credits, asking them questions. When was the last time they got something placed? They'll send you their deal before you sign it, so you can look at it. But usually standard deals are kind of like 50-50. Since they're publishers, they're going to take and it depends on the deal, it could change, but a lot of times, if there's an upfront fee, you would split that 50-50 with the publisher. And then on the back end with royalties, you'll see you'll keep 100% of your writer shares of royalties, and then they'll keep 100% of the publisher shares of the royalties. Some of them are non-exclusive. A lot are exclusive. And what that means is, whatever track you send them, they're the only ones that can represent that track for the term of that agreement. Genre, man, it's all across the board, really. Like, there's companies that specialize in, like, what is it called? I think it's called like Crime Sonics or something like that. Crimesonics.com may be their website, but they specialize in like that Law and Order music, like the crime investigative, man. It's like they crush that lane. So they specialize in that. And then you have other libraries where they may do a lot of top 40 stuff, so a bunch of different stuff out there, man. It's really up to you to do the research and figure out what's going to work best for you, your music, and what you want to accomplish. Good questions. Von Schlepp, what's good? How important is song length when submitting songs? It's pretty important. Like, I come across, music sometimes it's like 5-6 minutes long. You really don't need it to be that long, especially in sync. For instrumental stuff, I'm always around that 1:30, 2-minute mark. For full songs, probably closer to the 2-minute mark. Because now I haven't even really been doing bridges for songs that I write for sync. Like, I'm just doing 2 verses and 2 hooks, and then I sting out. So yeah, not too long, man. Get to the point. The track has to build, section to section, every 8 bars or so. You're kind of introducing new instruments, and just kind of going somewhere in that track. So try not to make it too long. Try not to make it super repetitive, because it'll end up hurting you in the long run, unless they're specifically asking you, like, we want repetitive music. Like, I've seen a brief where they was just like, we want it to actually be repetitive, and I was like, okay, whatever y'all want, as long as y'all place this joint. So yeah. Mac Williams, what's good? New Jersey pianist, composer, producer. That's what's up. Welcome to the stream. World Meta Beat, should you always have all your tracks copywritten before you send them to companies, or if they like it, you can get the funds to get it copywritten? It depends on the situation. Like, everybody handles this differently in licensing. Some people copyright everything before they send it. Some people don't worry about it. Some companies, they're trying to own the copyright anyway, so they'll do whatever they need to do to secure that. It's up to you. That's your call. With the knowledge you're given, can things get stolen? Of course. If somebody wanted to steal, a background instrumental cue, they need it more than I do, apparently. But things happen. You have to use your discretion and figure out what you feel most comfortable doing. and then proceed accordingly. This is not legal advice. um, Alvin Alexander, what does all in mean when licensing a song or instrumental to a publisher? In other words, a music supervisor says X music publisher will pay blah, 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 all in. Hope my question makes sense. Makes perfect sense. So all in is the pretty much the master recording. So that, like, the sync fee for the master recording and like the publishing. So they'll put it all like in like one lump sum. So we give you $5,000 all in. That covers the master and the publishing. Sometimes you could get a different fee to clear the master, and a different fee to clear the publishing, rights for that song. So that's what that is. All in is just this. We just gonna bundle it all together. So hopefully that helps. Devrick Bell, what's good? Been gigging a lot. Good to be back. Indeed, man. Glad to have you back. Hopefully the gigs went well. But yeah, man. So that's usually what that means. Really good questions, man. Loving it. What else do we have? We're gonna have a couple dope guests too coming over the next couple weeks. So yeah, definitely make sure y'all tune in. On Wednesdays, 12 p.m. Yeah, major gems will be dropped. Super excited about that. Also, if you guys haven't checked out my last interview with Mike Myers last Wednesday, go back, check that joint out. It's on the podcast and it's on the it's on YouTube as well if you want to watch the video. But a lot of dope information shared, a lot of great questions asked on that joint as well. So make sure y'all check that joint out. So yeah, I've been working in GarageBand some more this week. That's been interesting. I still have to do this GarageBand video, man, cause like I keep learning new things that either I really like about it or things that just really annoy me. Yesterday, it was more so on the really annoy me side of just bouncing tracks out, man. Like it was, I had to solo each track, close the GarageBand. And this is on iPad, by the way. I had to close the GarageBand app and then, press and hold the little session logo file thing, and then share the audio, and then it will bounce the thing. And I had to do that for like each track that I did in GarageBand. Luckily, I only did 4, so it didn't take me forever, but it was kind of a pain. Like I feel like as long as GarageBand has been out, even though it's geared more towards beginner to maybe intermediate producers, I feel like the option to bounce all of the individual audio tracks out should just be an option at this point in 2021. That's just my thoughts. So I'm gonna do a whole video. I've been talking about this video for like 3 to 4 weeks, but I'm gonna literally do it. Like it's on my schedule to do this week, so it may come out. What's today? It's Wednesday. It may come out like next week or the week after. But I have to do it because, I've been using it. So I have to make others aware of, of some advantages. It has its advantages. And then it has some disadvantages. So I'm going to go over those. Alvin Alexander says, your answer does help. One more part of my question. Will the songwriter-composer still be paid songwriters royalties in an all-in deal? It depends on the deal. Like everything is like, some things can be negotiated and everything is like on a case-by-case basis. So like I could say yes, but then somebody will shoot you a deal and be like, there's no royalties. You just about to get this lump sum of money and then that's it. Like, so yes or no, depending on the deal. Usually, the ones that I've done that were all in, yes, I still get royalties for it. So yeah, all in is usually just dealing with the sync fees, the upfront sync fees. And if you're doing something that like where they're not trying to give you royalties, then I would make sure that I would try and get the royalties if at all possible, because that's like, that's your future income from there. That's like musician retirement money. You know what I mean? So if you can get that, make sure you can get that. But if you're not getting royalties, make sure that payout is well worth is well worth giving up, potential income for years and years to come. Deverick, use GarageBand too. You can get good results. Yeah, man. So I recently I was using this Mixbox from IK Multimedia. They sent me Mixbox for iOS, and it's been super dope, man. Like it's been really, really dope. As far as like the quality of plugins, like if you've ever used like anything IK Multimedia plugin wise, like the T-Racks and all that stuff, those plugins, then how legit they are. So you can get that on iOS. I'm having a giveaway right now too on my IG. If you don't know about that, go to my IG page at ClintMusic, and there's a post where I'm on my iPad and you see like the Mixbox. You'll see plugins on the iPad. The details to enter that is on that. I'm picking a winner this Friday, so if you haven't entered, go to that post on my IG at ClintMusic, and get on that, because I'm giving a producer a free copy of that. Shout out to IK Multimedia for helping make that happen. What's the bottom end of what we should accept for a fee? Again, man, there's no set price. Like the lowest you'll see is $0. Like that's the bottom. And then it could go up. It just depends. And I know a lot of people want to know, like, what's the number? Like, what should I expect at least? It depends on the budget. It depends on the budget of the project. If you're working on like a smaller indie joint, they may not have a big budget or a budget at all. So it really depends, man. It's all across the board, literally. I've seen hundreds, I've seen thousands. So yeah, for an artist who has built their catalog. What's up, Basements in Bangladesh? For an artist who has built their catalog, what would you recommend as the first few places to reach out to start marketing your work? What's the goal? Well, like, what's the end goal? Because marketing your work, like, who are you trying to market to? I guess that would be the first question. Are you trying to market to major artists, like people to just listen to your music, just like fans? Who are you marketing to? That's going to be the first question, because we can't market anything until we know exactly who we're talking to, because we can't communicate with them. We don't know how to talk to them if we don't know who we're talking to. What kind of split is fair for a producer hiring a vocalist? Is the vocalist writing? So there's two different situations. I'm a producer, right? If I hire a vocalist, say it like I produced and wrote the song, but my voice is trash, so I just want to hire a vocalist who sound way better than me and just have them record the joint. I would do a work for hire agreement. They don't get any split of royalties or anything. I just pay them a one-time fee, have them sign an agreement, and then that's it. They just get paid for that project to come in and record. Same for musicians. Like, if I wrote the bass line and I go and I hire a bass player to come and, play the bass line that I wrote, I'm just going to pay him a one-time fee. He doesn't get any any ownership of the track. Now you can give them ownership, like if you don't have money to pay them, and you want to negotiate something, you can always do that. There's no set in stone way to handle that situation, but typically that's how you would do it. But if the vocalist is writing the song, say they wrote the lyrics, you did the music, a typical split would just be 50-50. That's fair. Do producers typically get a songwriter credit on the split sheet? If so, what is the standard percentage? So on a song, pretty much like everybody is considered like a composer. So when you register something with like BMI, when you register it, like the producer is a composer, the songwriter is a composer. Like everybody's like listed as a composer / writer. It's kind of like it's the same thing. So the splits are gonna depend on what y'all agree to once y'all complete the song. So I highly recommend having some type of split sheet, or just register that joint with BMI or something like right away, so those splits are solidified. Make sure everybody agrees and signs off on it. But it's whatever y'all agree to, I've seen some people do, if there was 3 people involved, I've seen people do the 33.33333 joint. I've seen if there was a producer and 2 songwriters, producer would get 50, 2 songwriters would split the writer share 25-25. I've done songs that way. Yeah, man. If there was 4 people involved, everybody get 25. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's whatever y'all agree on and what everybody feels comfortable with. Indeed. Glad that cleared it up, Alvin, for sure. Do you collect royalties via your pro? If so, how do you do it without an ISRC code? Yeah, you collect royalties through the pro. You don't necessarily need an ISRC code to collect your royalties. What happens is, once your song is ingested into a music library and they use it, like you have this metadata, and it includes writer info, their pro info, their IPI number, the percentage of ownership of the track. And then they have all that information. They submit that to the pros, and the pros, compares it, make sure it all matches up, and then they calculate their royalties based on your percentage of ownership. And that's pretty much it. The code is there. I believe that I know there's a couple different kind, but that's more of like a tracking thing. Let me see. My bad. This is actually pretty important. This is like one of those super quick briefs I was working on. Oh yeah, yep. Nah, I got you. All right. So, yeah. Sync licensing for commercials, film, TV. Oh, dope. So that's easy. You don't even need to market for sync licensing. That's what's dope about it, man. Like if you don't want to go through learning marketing, and like, just like branding and things like that, sync licensing, you really don't need to do all that. Like, it could help in different ways, but you don't necessarily need it. It's just a matter of finding libraries, really, and just reaching out to them and making sure your music is structured right. Making sure you're following instructions and things like that. But yeah, like if your music works, sounds good, it fits the mood that they need, that's it. It's just a matter of getting in those libraries and then consistently submitting music, so that you constantly have stuff out there working for you. Shimmer Island. What about MLC? Yeah. So Tammy Latrell, if you go back on my YouTube channel, I had Tammy Latrell on here, and she answered all questions, all things publishing and MLC related and all that stuff. She did like a deep dive into what it was. So go back, check that video out. It's the interview I did with Tammy Latrell. Man, it probably was like a couple months ago now. So just go back. You should see a screenshot of her next to me on the YouTube page. So check that out. And she describes what the MLC is, and you know how to sign up and collect from that as well. But yeah, man, licensing, man, it's like nobody has to know you. Like, you could just not exist on this thing called the internet, and you know, and be good getting placements, you know. But you know, as a producer, as a brand, as a business, it definitely helps to learn the marketing stuff and the branding stuff and all of that, because that allows you to create multiple streams and do more things outside of just you know, TV placements and stuff like that. So yeah, no doubt, Trina. Indeed, Andy. No doubt. What's the date? So yeah, so if y'all don't mind, I gotta reply to this email because this is like one of those quick deadlines. And communicate, like I'm always telling, like this is like a live example. Like, responsive communication is key in licensing, right? Like when we have like quick deadlines, like they want to know, like, yo, can you deliver? Can you meet it? What's the, you know, what's the status? All of that stuff is like super duper important. So I am going to respond to this email real quick so that they know that your boy Clint is responsive, and he don't want to miss no opportunities, and he want to make sure they're in the loop so they can keep bringing him more work. And then we're gonna get back to some questions. Boom, instrumental. Let's go. It's like, no, I didn't type that. All right. Which it wouldn't be a bad thing to type let's go. It's motivating. They can feel my excitement through the text. Probably get that. I probably should have typed let's go with 5 exclamation marks. Get them amped up. Best libraries to submit to. I always get this question, man. Like, there is no best library. That's the answer. There's no best library because everybody's different. Like, a best library, like I could say BMG Production Music is the best library, but then somebody else could come and be like, I don't like them. Or somebody else could be like, I couldn't get into that library. So it's not the best. You know what I mean? Like, it's depends on your music, depends on you, depends on the relationship with the library, depends on them and if they like you as a person. Like, it's just so many different factors. Like, there is no one answer. There is no one library to submit to get all of the placements. Like, research multiple libraries, reach out to multiple libraries, and then you decide which ones from all the ones that you submit to, you reach out to, which ones you like working with and which ones you feel like are dope and which ones get you placements. That's the best thing to do. And go from there. That way it's tailored to you, because you could go to a Lab Hits and I could say, yo, I've seen success with Lab Hits, you know, I got a bunch of placements with them. You may go over there expecting to get a bunch of placements because you heard me tell you that, but then you don't get anything. It's like, I don't, you know, you can't guarantee certain things. So yeah, but if you want a list of libraries that that I've looked up and recommend, I have a music licensing directory on my website. Go to clintproductions.com/shop and grab that and use the discount code in the description, or if you're listening to the podcast, in the show notes. So use that discount code, take a discount, and grab that joint. But before you do that, if you don't have the Roll to 10 Placements bundle, which is like everything, the directory, the course, me showing you everything I did to start getting TV placements and how I landed my first 10 in a little over a year, and some other pro tips and tricks and email strategies and all that stuff, then get the Roll to 10 Placements bundle, because that's everything. Like, you get the directory alone will cover the cost of that. So get that joint. I'll share the link so you guys can grab that. Roll to 10 Placements course. Bundled everything up. Everything you need to get started is in that joint. Like, it's everything I did. That's my blueprint. Let me see. Will you be doing streams where we can submit songs for review? Oh yeah, every Friday we do that. Every Friday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. We'll be doing another one this Friday. Will we be doing another one this Friday? I believe so. Let's double check. Yeah, we in that joint this Friday. So instructions to submit will be in the description of that live as well. So if you want to come through, man, we have a good time. A lot of dope music is shared. You can watch the previous ones too. They're still up on the channel. Super dope stuff. Trina George says, get the Roll to 10 Placements. Very informative. I hope I said it correctly. You did. Roll to 10 Placements. Yeah. So for those who wondering like what the Roll to 10 Placements is, like, what is that? What does that mean? Why is it 10? Somebody asked me that before, like, why 10? So this is the backstory. So all right, so let's go back to, man, when did I get my first place? I got my first placement like 2012 or 13, something like that. First placement was NFL Network. They used the instrumental of a song that I created called I'm Taking Over. If y'all want to hear me rap, search that song, I'm Taking Over. Your boy was rapping and singing, believe it or not. But I created the song I'm Taking Over, sent it to a publisher. I was in the publishing deal at the time. And then they ended up getting it placed on NFL Network. It was like the only thing that they've ever done for me. So that happened. And then it got placed. It got used again on Fox Sports, which was dope because that was on Fox. That was a major network. So I made about $500-$600 just off that one placement alone in royalties. So that was really cool. So then I was just like, yo, that's just one. Like, what would happen if, like, I really focused? I wasn't really focused on sync at that time. I was just kind of dabbling, just kind of putting my toes in the water. But I was just like, what would happen if, like, I went hard and just focused specifically on sync? And I started seeing a lot of opportunities out there, and I was tied down in this publishing deal where, like, I couldn't work with any other publisher. It kind of sucked. So I was just like, man, like, soon as I'm out of this deal, man, like, I'm about to go in. So the deal ended and I was a free man, right? So I was like, okay, it's go time. So I started posting on social media, and I was just like, yo, this is my goal. And I posted on social media because I wanted to hold myself accountable. Because if once you put something on social media and people following you, like, you gonna have to show up. You know what I'm saying? So I put it on social media, and then I started documenting my journey. I started talking about what I was doing, in preparation of getting these placements, what my process was looking like, what I was doing to stay organized, how many people I was reaching out to a day, how I was reaching out to them, how did I prepare my music, what kind of music, how was I structuring the music, and things like that. And I just started documenting everything. And yeah, and then eventually, like, I started seeing placements. I started connecting with licensing companies, getting licensing deals, and just repeating this process over and over and over again. And then the goal was to get 10 placements in a year. That's where the name Road to 10 Placements comes. So I like started this journey. I don't know why I decided to call it a road. I don't know. But the goal was 10 placements in a year. It took me a little bit over a year to, well, I might have hit 10, because some placements I didn't know about until like a year later. Because they just took a while to show up on cue sheets and things like that. So I might have hit 10 in a year, but I want to be sure. So I always say a little over a year. But so after that, like, I hit 10 placements, and then me talking about that whole journey and that whole process intrigued people, and it inspired people, and then other people started getting on their own road to 10 placements. And then what happened was people start asking me a bunch of the same questions over and over and over and over and over again. So I was like, yo, look, like, I'm going to take everything that I was documenting and turn it into a super easy to understand course. So it was a PDF course. And then I eventually added some videos for some advanced strategies and things like that. Some things that I learned over the years, added that, and then added a directory and things like that. Because I was just like, look, if all these people are asking me and booking consultations and asking me these same questions, then there's like hundreds of other people who have the exact same questions. And these are questions that I myself had when I first got started. So I packaged it up and I titled it Road to 10 Placements. And yeah, that's how the name came about. In case anybody was wondering, like, why 10? Why a road? Rice and Green, what's good? Is making a beat with loops from a sound bank kit considered or looked at as sampling? Yes, it is. Yeah, it is. Because it's a sample, a loop. You know, it's a sample. It may not be like from. I was just talking about this with somebody, but it may not be from like a popular hit song, but it is a sample. Somebody else created it. You're using it to create something new, a new master around it. Yeah. I recorded a doorknob. I don't know if y'all seen one of my last reel on Instagram, but I like recorded a doorknob in my beat and used it as like some percussion. That was sampling. Alfie Burgess says, hey man, could you give a quick shout out? Mike Oxbig, dope producer. Shout out to Mike. I hope that helps. Let's see. Are there disadvantages to submitting music for licensing when the music being submitted is already available online to companies such as Spotify, CD Baby, etc.? That's going to depend on who you're getting into a licensing deal with. That's something you want to discuss with them, because again, every company's different. Some companies, they don't care. Other companies, they want to do that themselves and be able to control the income and everything from that. So they may not want that. So check with whatever company, you know, you're trying to get a deal with. Ask them, is that okay? And then, you know, go from there. Good question. What's the best format for naming your work in a way that either stands out or is the most appropriate for review? That's another good question. Don't name it like Beat 112 October 2021. They'll skip past that joint. It's hard to keep up with that. But name it something. This is what I do. I name my track something, especially if they're instrumentals. If it's a song, obviously you name it the title of the song. But for instrumentals, I try and name it something that would hint towards what it sounds like. So if they want something dark, if they want like dark ambient music, like give it a title that sounds like it would be something dark and ambient. You know what I mean? Call that joint Dark Ambience. Like that's how I name my stuff. Like I got tracks named like that all over the place. But when they're going through the tracks, it kind of triggers them. It's like, oh, like it sounds like exactly what I'm looking for. So that's what I do, man. I try and name it something that'll kind of hint towards what it sounds like. Samuel Smith, how did you reach out to these companies, and what companies were they? I can't remember all the companies I reached out to. Like I was reaching out to 3 to 5 companies every day, so I can't remember all the companies. But if you want to know how I reached out, man, grab the Road to 10 Placements course. Hit this link in the bio. Everything I did is in that course, man. It'll walk you through step by step how to make sure you got all the pieces and ducks lined up. And then it also includes a directory of companies that you can submit to and start researching. And get you started, man. So definitely grab that at clintproductions.com/link in bio and get started. But yeah, man, like that titling thing, that's a cheat code for sure. Because you want to find a way to stand out. Sometimes they'll end up retitling it because they may already have something with that title in their library, so they just have to retitle it. But again, for an initial submission, it can help. So yeah. Shout out to the new people in the stream. It's a live Q&A. I'm answering questions about music business, music licensing, and production. If you got any questions, let me know. I'm here to get y'all unstuck. We'll be on here for at least another 15 minutes answering questions. And we just hanging out for a little bit. November James, what's up, bro? Some libraries ask if your submission contains any samples from a sample library or sample pack, then subsequently state that they won't accept them. Music libraries accept original music. Very, very good point. I'm glad you brought that up, November. Samples in the licensing space, I feel like now, like this past year, it just seems like, they've just been zero tolerance. Like I was just talking to a another library owner this week, and he was just talking about a situation with it having to do with the sample, and made it very, very clear that he's like, dude, did you use any samples? Did you sample like anything, like at all? Did you play this stuff? Like what? And I get it. Like I'm not mad at all. Like he doesn't know me. So, and he has to cover his butt too, because his reputation is on the line. Their company's reputation is on the line. So people are like, man, companies are staying away from samples, loops, like from, splice and things like that. They don't want anything to do with them, man, because it brings too many headaches when it comes to clearance. It's messing up reputations. Like it's so serious. Like they will not work with you again. Like if you give them a headache, one good headache, that's it. Like, and it's not worth it, man. So yeah, you gotta especially slice, like, man, because what some producers do, man, they'll take the loop right off splice as is, throw that joint in the track. And there's multiple, it's layers to this, right? It's layers to why it's such a pain. And they'll just use it as is and then send it to a library. But then you have another producer somewhere in the world who did the same thing and say they use that same 8-bar loop in the intro of their track. And then this tracking technology picks it up. And it's just like, like there's multiple owners. Or if somebody just decides they heard that 8 bars on a TV show, it's like, oh, that's my beat, like I need to get paid. Now you got an issue. Now we got to stop everything. We got to figure out, that stops payment, that stops It could stop like a production, like a, you know what I'm saying, like everything. So it creates issues, but then it can also create an issue, and you'll be in what do you call it? I can't even think of the word. You'll be in violation of your end user license agreement with the loop, because even though legally you can use this loop, if like in a lot of these agreements from the sample libraries, like you can't use this loop like by itself and then sell it, like resell it or whatever, and then like call it your own. But what happens in licensing is a lot of times you have to deliver stems, and that could be individual. It could be grouped as, you know, drums only, guitars only, or whatever. But if an editor decides they only want to use that stem that has that loop on it because you sent that like as a single stem, now you're in violation of that license agreement. So now that's a whole nother legal issue, and it's just like, just stay away from it as far as licensing is concerned. It makes everybody's life easy. Samuel Smith says, I create my own samples, so will that be considered an issue in the licensing business? Nah, like if it's yours, it traces back to you, so you're good. You know what I mean? Like if you created that joint, nobody can come and say, Samuel, you use this loop from Samuel, this sample from Samuel. Like it's gonna all lead back to you, so you're good. Which has the best chance of being licensed, songs or instrumentals? Both. I would say you may double your chances if you have a full song, because now you have a song and an instrumental versus just the instrumental. But both have their place. Both are needed. Instrumentals I use a lot. Like on reality TV, man, they use like a bunch. They use a bunch of music. It could be like anywhere from like 60 to like 140 cues in one episode. What's up, Russ? Hope all is well. Here's a tech question. I like tech. Do editors and supervisors frown on hard panning in mixes? Ooh. I haven't gotten any. Do I really hard pan though? I've never gotten any negative feedback from panning. I don't really pan. The only time I pan hard is if I'm stacking vocals. Like sounds, I don't really pan. Like I don't really pan to sound like hard left or hard right. It may be, you know, it's around the 30s, 20s, something like that. But I've never had an issue with panning stuff. Honestly, I feel like they would prefer some type of panning just to keep the center open for dialogue. That would be my guess. Mac Williams. So he said, so is it better, if you like a Spice sample, to play and recreate it yourself? I would even be careful with that, like replaying it exactly how it is. I would recreate something totally different that has the same vibe. Because I've worked on some briefs recently where I hit a couple chords that were similar to hit songs, and they were like, let's change it. And I was like, okay, no problem, because like I'm not gonna go back and forth and like try, because they know they know what they want, and they don't want any issues. Like they don't even want it to be questioned, and they just want to stay clear away. So I was like, cool, like hey, I get it. Man, people, it just seemed like, especially these majors, man, they is lawsuit happy, boy. So yeah, that would be my advice, Mac. Switch that whole thing up and just make something original. John Tyndall, what's up? Good to see you, John. Mr. Dayo, what's good? What types of full songs usually get used, subject and genre wise? Great question. I'm about to pull up something. This is gonna help the people. Let me find it. Let me see. What email did I send that from? Nope. It's in here somewhere. I'm gonna give y'all some examples of topics. Okay. So, themes that work well in TV. This is based off like an actual brief. Love, heartbreak, nostalgia, home, confidence, partying, dancing, working hard, making money, jealousy, revenge, bad omens, optimism, revolution, girl power, happiness, youth, overcoming obstacles, winning, taking what's yours. Do not use specific names of people's brands, specific objects, stories, intricate details, and just references to like super specific stuff. Like you hear some songs where they're talking about cities and years and events and athletes' names and stuff. The more you stay away from that, the more opportunities your song will have. And then these are usually kind of like the mid up tempo stuff. Gets used a lot too. Not to say there's not a place for the slower stuff, but you know, upbeat stuff just seems to get used more. Z-Man, what's good? Good to see you back in the building. Von Schlepp, you mentioned sampling should be avoided before. What about VST instruments that are just sample packs with a fancy GUI? So with VSTs, like it's like a sound, right? Like there's sampled sounds, but it's just like one note. So like it's pretty easy to play more than just like one note. Like you're not taking that one note and then just packaging that up and then reselling it as your own VST instrument sound. That's when you're like stealing at that point. But if you're taking that VST instrument and it's just the instrument, you're playing chords and progressions and melodies and things like that. Those melodies and those chords and stuff that you're creating, that's creating a whole new piece of music. You're good. You know what I mean? There's no issues. The only time like somebody was like picky about that was I was working on like it was like a sample pack kind of project or whatever, and they just wanted us to use hardware versus VST instruments. So that's the only time I really ran into, to that. What is the standard time limit for a song submission? Standard time limit, like how long the song should be, or like the deadline? I want to be sure I answer that right. Russ says, for instrumental music, should I avoid being too melody heavy or thematic? I tend to be thematic, and I don't know if I'm shooting myself in the foot. Provide alt mixes when sending a song or album. Yeah, it never hurts, have it in there. Have a nice strong melody, and then just send them stems. Send the stem like without melody. We call it like a narrative version, right? So have that, and if they don't want to use the melody, then they can just use the narrative version. So yeah, I always like to have some type of main melody, especially in my hook. But yeah. Oh, how long should the song be? Um, a couple minutes. A couple minutes gets the job done for a song. Like 2.5. I mentioned earlier, like I haven't even been putting bridges in my songs for sync. So I just get straight to the point. Couple verses, a hook. Sometimes there's even been tracks they just had a hook on it. They didn't even have verses. They just had like some ad libs throughout the verses, and that was it. When sending in a submission, is it expected to be ready made without any minor critiques? So yeah, like it should be ready to go. I always tell people that, like, if you're submitting stuff, like especially to get into a library, make sure that stuff is like ready to go. Like don't send demos like, oh, this is a rough idea that I was working with. Man, don't do it. Make sure that joint is done, mixed, mastered, final version every time. Like, I don't even get, like, even if they say send us a demo, like they don't mean, like, even though they say demo, if they say demo, they don't mean like demo as in I recorded this voice note on my iPhone. Like, this is an idea that I like. Nah, they really want like a polished joint. They want a demo reel, like a demo of what you can do that's been finished, produced, mixed, mastered, all of that. Always send your best and make that good first impression. Cause man, they'll judge you. They'll judge you based off of what you submit. Like if you submit that rough version and in your mind, this is gonna be great once I finish mixing it and laying down the background vocals and all that stuff. They don't hear that. That's in your head. They don't know. And they'll just be like, yo, this cat's trash. Like, it's like, don't open another email from them again. So you don't want to do that, man. Make sure it's finished and you're submitting like your best stuff. Yep, narrative version. Some companies may call it something slightly different. But yeah, that's basically what it's all the same thing. Or some people call it what's another way? I don't think it's cut down. Usually cut down is like a 30-second version or something like that. Or like a cut down can mean different things depending on who you're talking to. Cause like if you have a 2-minute track, a cut down could be like a 1-minute version. So depends on who you're talking to. No doubt basements in Bangladesh. Looking forward to it too. To put the sample in perspective, Blurred Lines was in litigation for a vibe of Marvin Gaye's Give It Up. Pharrell, Robin Thicke, and T.I. had to give up millions. Exactly. A vibe. It had a similar vibe. And that's exactly what in this particular situation that I was in, the chords that I played had created that vibe. And that's where I was like, okay, I understand where y'all coming from. So we changed it, because we know how it could be. Let's see. I'm gonna take like one more question. Let's see. Let's see what we got. LaRon. What's good, LaRon? If you're making a demo, should it be a collection of tracks of the same style or kind? That's usually the approach I take, because I rather submit something, something that I know I do really, really good and kind of be like a specialist at, so that when they need this type of music, I come to mind, versus being that person that literally does like, I can do everything. They don't know how to categorize you at that point. So if you submit something kind of themed based or like genre based, I think it just makes the process a little more simple, if that makes sense. So yeah, that's usually the approach I take. And then you can always go to another company and then submit a different style of music or genre and be known for that. So yeah. So yeah. So that's it, man. I appreciate y'all coming through the stream. This hour went quick. It's because y'all was asking dope questions. I bet that's why. But I appreciate y'all coming through, man. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. And if you haven't, man, if you're trying to get in this TV placement game, it's fourth quarter. Like, it's, if you watch sports, you know how serious fourth quarter gets, because it's do or die. You won't die if you don't start getting placements. But, you know, it's time to step it up, man. It's the end of the year. If you're trying to get into licensing, now's a great time because, man, like I'm telling you, briefs have been coming in like left and right. So if you want to get in on that, start generating residual revenue from your music. Put your music to work. If it's sitting on your hard drive, it's like, why? Like it should be making you money. It can make you money. You may have to optimize it, tweak it a little bit, but boom, it's there. You do the work one time, you get paid for it for the rest of your life and hopefully beyond that. So hit the link, clintproductions.com/link in bio. Grab that joint and let it help you. It's exactly what I did. You got a blueprint, so you don't have to spend 5, 7, 10 years bumping your head like I did figuring this stuff out. Save you the time, learn what works and learn what doesn't, and get it popping, man, so we can celebrate these placements, man. Like, use the hashtag too, road to 10 placements. If you're like, you're getting licensing deals, you're getting placements, use that hashtag and share them, because I like celebrating people. And make sure you keep me updated on your progress, because I share that too, and it motivates me. Honestly, I get more excited from other people getting placements than me getting my own placements. Like, it's the most exciting thing, man, to see other people win and figure this stuff out, man. So yeah, so that resource is there for you guys. I appreciate you. Have a good rest of the week and go take action. And like I said at the beginning of this joint, like the law of large numbers, you take more actions, you'll see more results that you want to see. So let's go. Let's get it. I'm out. Catch you guys on the next one. Peace.